Okay. Is my light okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yours is a bit weird. And bizarrely, you say Camilla McGill.
That is bizarre. So that is because
you can change that.
Okay, but okay.
Am I looking straight in the camera there?
You look to be looking slightly above it.
Is that straight in the camera then?
Pretty much. Well, why don't you just look at the camera? No,
like somebody's joined us. Your light's weird.
Well, all right, but what do you want me to do?
It's the backlight. It's the walls, I think.
Has somebody joined us?
Yes. Hello, Aline. I think, did I? I might have put it so that everybody, I'm going to make you, I think it might be that I put it so everybody's mute. Christ.
Yeah, well, okay, go to the more participants. Ask her to start her video.
No.
Ah, Aline. Hello. I haven't done this type of Zoom before, so I kind of have and I haven't. So anyway, I was just chatting to my husband, who said he'd moderate it. Very nice to meet you. How did you come to hear about me?
I honestly can't recall. Could it have been on Instagram or something? Possibly.
Might have been. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was meant to attend one of your things on a Wednesday night and I totally missed it. So I'm listening to the recording at the moment, and then you sent through the email last night. So I thought I should absolutely set an alarm and join it this evening. So
you followed my instructions.
I did, yeah.
You did as directed. Oh, that's so nice. Well, it's really, where are you coming in from, Aline?
From Kildare in Ireland.
Lovely. Oh, that's wonderful. Wow. Well, we've got Becky in New Zealand who's just joined us. That's really exciting. So I have absolutely no idea how many people are coming on. I invited, so it's morning time for you, is it, Becky?
Yes, yeah, it's about 9 in the morning.
9 in the morning. And where's your little one?
He's just starting his breakfast because it's our day.
Okay.
We take the day off, so it's a bit of a late start today.
Right. Oh, well, it's
been good.
That's nice. That's nice. Well, it's that you're here. Becky's already joined the course. And oh no, it's telling me my internet's unstable.
Oh dear.
We've had this before.
Still hear you pretty good.
Paul?
What can I do?
I know what I'm going to do. Hello, Andrea.
Hi.
I've got internet problems, so I'm actually going to move my computer closer to the modem. So just bear with me while you'll get a tour of I might be able to bring my light. Hold on. You'll get a tour of my house as we come along. Okay. I was on a call with somebody the other day who wanted to find out about the course, and she was walking. It made me feel really giddy because she was sort of just walking as we were talking. Okay, so this should work because are you with me? Okay, can you hear me? Okay.
Yep.
Great. I had the who is it? Whatever, whoever provides the internet the other day on the phone, and we tested it here, and it didn't become unstable. So there we go. Right, different backdrop. Okay, so Andrea from New York. No, sorry. Where are you coming in from, Andrea?
Indiana.
Indiana, that's it, Indiana. So people from all over the world, that's amazing. Yes, sorry, I tell you what I'm gonna do. Sorry, I'm gonna grab my mouse because I don't like working without a mouse.
Where are you both from?
I'm in Ireland.
Okay, neat. I'm from New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yeah, the capital. Yeah. Wow, yeah, that's really awesome.
Okay, right, there we go. Well, hopefully that will be better. So we have two people already who are on the course, so which is amazing, Andrea and Becky. And Aline, so tonight, I mean, I can do it two ways. I've got a little mini presentation. As I say, I don't know who else is going to join in, but it was really just a chance to give, have a chat, answer any questions, see if the Tantrum course is something that you think might fit for you, and tell you a little bit about it, also tell you about, my philosophy. So I don't know whether you have watched anything that I've done on Instagram, or whether you've kind of, tell me where you are with things.
I've watched, I think, half of the Tantrum one that you put up. So I just literally stopped watching, come on this, and I'll watch the rest later. And
yes,
we honestly don't have a huge issue. There've been a few tantrums only, and I suppose I just enjoy reading everything so I can be prepared and know what best to do in the event of. I mean, our one issue right now is she's slapping us in the face, and I actually think it's because in the creche there's a little boy who slapped her, and I don't think she understands that he's younger than her. So he's just told it's bad manners, and she doesn't know how to react. So maybe she's doing it to us.
Yes.
That's my thought.
How old is she?
She's 22 months.
22 months. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So am I right in sort of thinking that you're the kind of parent that wants to sort of prepare and be, kind of, you want to learn, you want to know the right approach, you want to be kind of armed with.
You want to be effective, and you want her always to feel listened to and loved and cared for, but also that you're the parent, so it's just getting it right.
Yes, so it's going to get about getting that balance. I mean, in a minute, it would be lovely to hear from you two about your the sort of what your feelings are. But what I get a lot of questions on Instagram about behavior and tantrums in particular, and I kind of I felt like to launch an online course, it's quite good to have a sort of a name that's memorable. So that, one of the reasons that I called it the Tantrum Taming Toolkit was because it's, it's an alliteration and it's kind of catchy and it's memorable. The thing about it is that it's so much about the tools, and it's about helping parents to feel prepared. If they like my philosophy, that the gentle but also firm approach, then the course is it's so rich, it's got so much within it. The only drawback with the kind of catchy title is that people think, well, we don't really have tantrums, so maybe it's not applicable. But it would be lovely to hear from you two, who I know weren't special. Well, tell us about you guys, whoever would like to go first.
I'll jump on first. So the reason I only joined after the second time I heard about Camilla's program, because the first time around, like you, I was like, I don't really have tantrums, you know, he's not really that bad, you know, he'll get upset, but he calms down reasonably quickly. But it was funny, after it closed, you know, they go through stages so quickly that it was like, okay, things have changed. Now it would be helpful to have a few tools. And it was kind of like, when you're not looking for something, you don't always see it. And then when you get a bit of an awareness, you're like, oh, actually, yeah, he is hitting out at times. And oh, it's just not having the confidence myself that I know exactly how to, when those things happen, how to deal with it in a way that I feel good about. And I guess it's that, for me, it was definitely that gap between the parent I want to be and the philosophy I want to have, and then the tools to actually implement that when things aren't going right. And that's where, like, we've just started out in the last week, and we're only just into the second module, and it's been just amazing having those tools where things that I just kind of let, like, just was like, oh, that's just him, and yes, he won't go to bed without me, sort of thing, and he'll get really upset, but I just go to bed with him and then it's fine. And the other night he was able to go to bed with daddy, and then he started crying, came out to me. I used the strategy of that Camilla teaches, and then he just went, okay, and he walked back to the bedroom and slammed the door and went just with daddy. And I was just like, oh wow, like, there's been things that I had just kind of been like, that's just how it is, that now that I have those skills, it doesn't have to be like that. And I think especially when things get stressful and I'm not feeling like I'm able to be the parent I want to be, then it kind of, I find sometimes it spirals and I behave in ways that I don't want to behave with my children, and my child, and I'm less patient and that sort of thing. And just having tools and skills to sit back into, I don't have to be at my best to be this type of parent I want to be. Yeah, that's how I'm finding it anyway.
It's lovely to hear that. Lovely to hear. Andrew, I know you don't have too long, so do you want to just jump in and tell us what your experience is?
Yeah. So I have a 4.5-year-old son, and we also don't have major problems with tantrums. And we'll go on long streaks where everything is pretty good, smooth sailing, and then, it gets rocky for a while. Then we jump back to smooth sailing for a while. Then, something new comes up. So it's like, even in the good times, I always know that there's going to be some kind of rocky moment coming up. So that's why I thought this would be so important. And I just love learning about good parenting and like strategies, especially since I didn't get much compassion growing up. So I think I'm kind of fascinated by it now, and want to learn. When I catch myself doing the things that my mom did, then I want to learn ways to just be a little bit nicer and kinder about it. So I just love learning about it. And so I'm now probably most of the way through the first module. So I've learned about like temperaments, the child temperaments, and just seeing my son Austin in those temperaments, and then even seeing myself in those temperaments. It's a little kind of eye-opening. Like, I think adults have tantrums too. We just look different when we do it. And so, it definitely opens my eyes to how we are more similar than I realize, me and my son, and just how I can treat him so much better when he's being naughty, because my gosh, I am naughty all the time too. Like, when I get grumpy and I lash out at other people for no good reason, like, that's me being naughty. And it's because I'm exhausted, or like things aren't going the way I want them to. Like, I want control over a situation.
You're worried about something, or
yeah. So that was pretty eye-opening to me just in this first module. Like, it is already giving me much more empathy for what he is going through at this age. Yeah, so that feels good. It just feels good to have like a softer perception of what he's going through.
I think also it's reminded, when I first came into parenting, my eldest son was 2.5. So Becky, about your what's your little boy called?
Maximus.
Maximus, that's right. So about Maximus's age, and I found that it really had changed so quick. Like, it had taken me by surprise how he had gone from being pretty, I could kind of coax him to do things, to suddenly being like really, really resistant to stuff. And so I came in because, and he used to hit other children. So I came in because I felt like I really needed it. But what was interesting, and it was so helpful, and his nursery, so he gradually, it took time, but he gradually stopped hitting out. And I learned to deal with him in much more positivity. I hadn't realized, it's a bit like they say, if you put a frog in cold water and raise the temperature, they don't notice. But if you drop them into hot water, they jump straight out. And it was a bit like that. The water was sort of rising and getting hotter, and I just hadn't really taken it on board. But what I noticed when I started to learn these skills, he's 23 now, so this is a long time ago. I noticed that I was actually really enjoying him more. And whereas at the weekend, I would sort of do anything to distract from actually just being, and spending just time with my son, I then found that I felt much more confident, because I think the reason I hadn't been was I just didn't have that confidence in how to just be. Because he would kick off, about getting in the buggy, or he'd kick off about bedtime, or the fact it was bath time, or all these things. And I just found I hadn't realized how stressful it was. But what I noticed, having gained the skills with my younger ones, was that I was able, from such an early age, to start to use that language, and just to build their esteem particularly, and also just show that empathy, so when they did start to hit out, I would know what to say. And it doesn't mean to say that it stopped them completely, but it would just be, I felt skilled. So that, and then I just became so passionate in this whole field that I've been at it ever since. Really big welcome to Gitty and Christina. So we can't see you, Christina. I don't know if you can hear us. Maybe you want to unmute yourself. No, I think you are unmuted.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
so
I can hear you, yes.
Great. And where are you coming in from, Christina?
I live in Edinburgh.
Ah, okay.
Scotland.
You sound like you're not Scottish.
No. I'm not. I'm Romanian.
Romanian. Lovely. And what have you seen anything, Christina, of the webinar, or of anything that I've done?
No, not yet, unfortunately. No, I haven't. I'm hoping to get more time to look into that, but I haven't. That's why I was joining earlier. I'm so sorry. I realized I didn't mute myself, and I was in the kitchen trying to cook something, and apologies. I apologize for the noise.
I didn't notice it. I didn't notice it. No.
That's good.
And how old is your child or your children?
Yes, well, I have a son, and he's actually 2.5. Yes, my son's upstairs trying to put him to bed right now, and we just swapped places. I jumped into the kitchen while he's in the bedroom.
Okay, lovely.
Nice seeing you tonight, and lovely hearing you.
Yeah. Well, we were just really having a sort of general chat. So both Becky and Andrea have already joined. Are you aware that there's an online program called the Tantrum Taming Toolkit?
Yes, I did see the the link to the program in your email. Yes, I did see
Yes.
that. I didn't actually have time to look into that. I'm sorry.
Okay, cool. So we were just really chatting. So Becky and Andrea have already joined, but have jumped on today just to share some experiences. I know perhaps both of you might need to jump off at some point, so don't worry about that. And we were just kind of sharing, I was sharing reflections on, I don't know what you heard. Did you just jump on, Christina? Did you hear me?
Yes, I just joined just 5 minutes ago, really.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we were just sharing the reflections on how unobvious it is to be a parent. And also we often don't want to repeat the patterns of our parents. So it's not even to say that our parents have done anything wrong, but they weren't as informed. And they were probably brought up with, you do as you're told. And they were, probably brought up with, using words like naughty, looking straight at the behavior and thinking that you had to deal with behavior rather than empathize with the feeling behind it. And that was just such a game changer for me. I had been brought up a lot with good girl or bad girl. I don't know if any of you guys had that. And it's so when you unpack that, like why that is so ineffective, both actually, it's just really liberating. So if you think about it, even if you're trying to be encouraging and you say good boy, that is very restrictive for a child because you're labeling them at an identity level. And what you need, that of course at an identity level they need to be able to be everything. They need every feeling is okay. And so they might make a wrong choice. They might chuck something at you or hit you or spray water in your face or something that isn't, you don't like. But when they do that, they mustn't feel they're bad. And if they do something that you like, you don't want them to be restricted by I'm good. So that's why you guys haven't touched yet on module 3. But you probably have got a sense of it already. That's why we was so keen to just describe the things that they've done, and even Aline from a really early age, rather than say, so I remember encouraging one of my little ones. They were so young, but we took the nappy off for the bath, and I said, go and put it in the basket. And what we would be programmed to say would be good boy or good girl. But actually, if you describe what they've done in a lovely, encouraging and positive tone of voice. So mummy said, go and take the nappy. And you held the nappy and you walked across and you put it in the bin straight away. You followed the instruction. Now you might think, wow, that's quite a mouthful for a teeny tot. But actually they're everything. And then it's not just like, I'm good because I said yes, or, but so they learn what exactly that instruction was that they followed, and that was a good thing to do. But it doesn't mean if they don't do it, they're bad. So it's just, I love talking about parenting. I could just talk forever. Yeah, so that's a big part of the program is undoing what we have kind of been programmed by how we were brought up, and that might have been being brought up in a really positive way. Becky, did you have a point to make?
Yeah, really liked what Andrea said about wanting to parent differently from your parents, because they did the best with what they had and what they knew. But when it's not what you want what I want to do with my child, it's really hard because that's what's programmed. That's what you know how to do. That's the thing that comes automatically on the days when you're tired, when things are not going so well. And so it's about him to be conscious about doing something different and figuring that out. And just knowing you want to do it differently and how to do it differently are two different things. And on top of that, what I found when I do parent differently with my son, the things that I have implemented that are different, it's actually quite healing for myself. It's almost like I get to reparent myself by doing it differently now with my child. And it's the healing. But you need the support and the tools to do that because it's not easy. And it can be equally as hard when you see yourself doing what your parents did, to be like, oh my gosh, I affected me. I don't want to be. Yeah. So that's really. I have a dog, and when my dog is behaving in a way that isn't helpful for our family, I know I can go to a dog trainer. When I struggle with my, or I found like, where are the child trainers? Who do I go to give me the sort of the tools to be able to deal with this? Because it's so much harder to find, and I'm just so glad that there's someone like you out there. I know the first time I watched your webinar, even though I was kind of in that mindset of I don't need this right now, I still thought if anything happens, and especially if I was going to have a second child, that you would be like a prerequisite for that. I was like, I want to get you on board and have you, especially because I know that transition can be quite challenging. And so it was really nice, like, to start with, I was just like, yay, I've got someone in my back pocket. So I know, and I know the other thing is, it's like, it's finding someone to help you, but if they're not the right approach, then that help easy. There has to be that gel. It has to be like the way you teach parenting needs to gel with how I want to be and what my approach is. And it may be different from how my parents did it, but it needs to be what I gel with. And that can be really hard when you read blogs and books and things, because you can be like, they're telling me to do this and that this is effective, but it doesn't gel with me. And so I'm not able to implement it with conviction. I'm not going to feel good about it. And so that's going to come across. And that was one of the things I really loved about your first webinar that I went to. I was like, this ticks the boxes for me. And especially because we run a psychological practice. So myself and my husband, my husband, psychologist, that when I was listening to what you were saying, I'm like, this lines up with what we know about psychology. And that's really important to me, that this is mentally and helpful stuff for creating adults that are going to be more healthy. So especially with the emotional side of things, it's so important that kids can learn how to deal with the range of emotions, because we know that if you try to block one emotion, you end up numbing all of them. And so it's really important that you can feel the range. So there was a lot of things about your approach that I was like, yes, that fits with what I need. And then it was about me making that recognition myself. Actually, I do need that help now, and I need those tools, because at the moment I'm winging it and I've got my philosophy, but I don't necessarily have the strategy. I know the what, but not the how. And so it's great to get more of that how. And it was funny because I still had to bring my husband on board, and I don't know if anyone else has had a struggle with, like, I have to convince my husband to be a part of this, and not just to actually do it as well with me. So it's not just me doing this, but we had this one thing we do at night where we go for a ride in the evening. And more recently, he's been screaming, no, don't want to go. He's been planking, not going into his chair. He's been, just not involved. And I was like, what if we do this? What if we do this program and we can have our lovely night rides again? And he's like, I'm in. And so it's like having that. I was surprised.
That's interesting.
It didn't take much.
But I think they need a goal. They need a why. Yeah, like a practical goal for it. It's never mind the kind of, it'll feel nicer, but it's like, we will get our kid to go on a bike ride.
It's like to be able to visualize what it will look like if we don't have this issue. But I think the biggest thing for me is, and one of the hardest things for me has been that parenting hasn't been quite what I hoped it would be. And I haven't enjoyed it as much as I hoped I would, and enjoyed spending time with my son as I hoped I would. I think, and there's a lot of shame in that, and a lot of like, this isn't what I want it to be, and having tools so that, like you were saying, so you can actually enjoy spending time with your child rather than losing your mind when they destroy your house. That is like that. The most important why I want to be a part of this is because I want to be able to actually enjoy my child, because it's a long-term project, and I want it to be a lovely part of my life, not the struggle that it can be at times.
Gitty and Christina, thank you. Gitty, lovely to have you join us. Did you have any questions, anything that you'd want to hear from me, or Aline, anything that you'd like me to talk about? Because like I say, it's just, I do have a little slide thing to show you, but might just be nicer just to chat. So
hi Camilla, sorry, I can't come on my camera right now, but it's really nice to be here and to see you. You know, it's probably annoying that you can't, sorry, I can't come on, but it's nice to see everyone here. And I just thought it's always good to hear whatever you say, because you always have such amazing things to say, and amazing approach, and practical, and you just really connect with me, I guess. I can really understand what you tell me, and I really appreciate it. So
that's lovely. That's lovely to hear. Yeah. I think, in the webinar, that's what I try and get across is I'm not for everyone, and actually that's quite an interesting part of learning, even just learning about parenting, because I have a sort of wanting to please driver and wanting everyone to like me driver, and I had to kind of and I talked at a point on the webinar where I used to worry so much about what my friends thought of me and my parenting approach, and I was kind of a little bit embarrassed, and I've had to sort of work on all those levels to feel strong enough to, in front of my mother-in-law, or in front of a friend who's got the kind of approach that I just don't want, which is like, you tell them off. It makes me, it kills something inside of me when I hear parents seriously telling their kids off, because I just know it's not the right way to do it, even though of course I have. It's so, yeah, just kind of working on that. My kids don't have to always like me either. That's an interesting one. And there are times, this is where the sort of firm part comes in. I've had them say, I hate you, you're the worst mother in the world. Why can't I have, why can't Jenny be my mother? All those kind of things. And you have to sort of know that there are times when you've just got to hold firm. Even if they might cry, and what my littlest Alice, she's got the most big brown eyes, and they would just well up, and it would, it's like a knife going through your heart. But I knew that there were times when I just had to stick with it, with the empathy. So not being not always wanting to be liked with your kids, and not always being liked by them. Risk other children, other parents possibly sneering at you, possibly thinking you're too soft, possibly thinking that child just needs telling off, and holding sort of firm in your beliefs. It's just it's hard, but it's very liberating. I mean, I remember being kicked in the shin by one of my kids in front of a couple of other mothers. And it was just, I knew I did shout out, but I knew they were sort of waiting for me to do something bigger and more, more drastic about it. But I think, I don't know who I've said this to you, of you guys, but it's sort of, I feel it's like putting petrol on a fire when you do that, certain with certain type of temperament. So actually it can go both ways. You can either put petrol on a fire, or you can have a child who's they call them orchids and dandelions. There's sort of different ways of describing it. If you've got an orchid, it can just make them shrivel if you shout out and tell them off. And then they're scared to tell you things. They cover stuff up. So there's sort of, there's the consequences of that kind of thing. So I'm kind of slightly randomly what my husband would say, wittering on. But it's, I guess what I'm trying to get across is the philosophy that's behind the program has been developed over time, and it's stuff that I've worked on myself, stuff that I've researched. It's other parenting experts who I've just felt clicked, and then there's others who I just thought not for me, and also teaching stuff to parents. And I've learned so much from all thousands of parents that I've worked with, because you get this, it's a lovely feedback loop. So that's that's also just to develop the work that I do. And Aline, what was your how were you brought up? Was there a bit of the old school kind of just tell them off?
Yes, we could say there was a bit of that. Yeah, very much. It was the telling off, and the children should be seen and not heard, and you should be quiet and do as you're told, and all of that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And although I know that you're kind of thinking, is my little girl too young to do something like this? What I love about when I get parents on early is that it helps you avoid, you will do stuff, and you probably already notice it. Your parents come out of your mouth. And it's just really lovely to be able to, they may well still, but it's just really lovely to pretty quickly know, okay, I've got a philosophy here and I've got tools here that will mean that I don't have to do that. I can go another path. Because it is amazing, isn't it, Becky? You get a puppy, and the first thing that you think about doing, if you want to be a good dog owner, is take it to lessons, learn how to be a good dog owner. When we have kids,
I've spent hundreds of dollars on dog training with my dog, so that we have a bond and a relationship that works, and he actually works in our therapy as an anxiety dog as well. But even just as a pet dog, we spend hundreds of dollars to work him up to being a really great dog to be around, so he's not that, oh my gosh, that's my dog type feeling, which and when that happens, he was labeled as the bad dog, oh my gosh, at this boarding kennel, and so they separated him off because he was being a bit too excited with the other dogs, and it was so hard. And I got in it, but I went out, I got a trainer, I spent some time with him. We figured out it was actually probably more the boarding kennel, and it wasn't a good fit for him, that one. And so we're going to change him to a different one. But when our child gets labelled the naughty child, or I remember at care going to, pick him up and being told that he'd bitten another child. And I was like, oh no. And I was like, were they playing dinosaurs maybe? Like, whatever. I don't. But it's that real, like, you go at that moment, I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I literally, if this was my dog, I would know exactly what to do. I'd be getting a dog trainer on the board, I'd be meeting regularly, but I'm like, my child would just know, like, even more important. Like, I love my dog, but my child is really important. But, like, who do I go to for that? And it just feels like this massive blind spot when you have a baby, and then you're just like, oh, I'm supposed to deal with this. The other thing is 22 months, interesting interesting stage because when you sometimes it hits at 18 months, the I wouldn't say, I think probably you don't like the terrible twos label, but the
it's fine. I don't mind it. Yeah.
Pushing the boundaries too. I have learned the word no. That it took me by surprise because our child was quite chillax before he hit that stage, and then we were just like, wowza, what's going on now? And he's saying no literally to everything we put forward at the moment, even if it's something going to the park,
you like,
something he would want, it's a no. And it's it's good and this is the thing, is that those stages change, and that's why it's, and you learn how to deal with your current stage, and then the stage changes, and that's why,
and then the next stage happens.
I'm loving even this, just getting to connect with other parents with more of a similar philosophy, because it's hard with your family of origin. You may be the only one who's decided to start parenting in this way, and that can be really, really challenging. Or you go to a place group and parents parent differently, so it's really nice. The fact that you've actually specified the sort of parents that you help means that all the parents you're helping are going to with that, so it's a really lovely resource just in that sort of community aspect. It's really lovely.
That itself. Yeah.
And to get to know you more, Andrea, in terms of having sort of similar approach as well. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, I agree. I was planning to try to leave in like 10 or 15 minutes after coming on it. 3 o'clock here, but this is fun, so I'm just staying.
I know. I was just going to say, Andrea, you don't have to stay, but I kind of got the impression you're having a bit of fun. You quite like it. Christina, I obviously we can't see, but are you still with us? Would you like to? What's your? Do you have a question or an observation about what we've been saying?
Yes, I'm still here. Yes, this is very interesting to hear everyone's stories. I too have noticed how quickly children change from one day to another, and suddenly you feel, okay, I know exactly what I'm doing here. There's no surprises. Things are very smooth. And then one day he just starts saying no to everything. This is basically what has happened to us this week. It's very new. He's 2.5, and I think he's maybe going into the terrible twos that I keep hearing of, but I haven't actually seen anything like this before with him. He just, it's interesting to see how things have changed, although I think we haven't changed. So it's very strange. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that and trying to not give in and not act like my parents did, because I wouldn't want that. As you mentioned that before, it's very tempting because that's the only way that we were brought up, and that's what we know. And eventually we know that won't get us too far. So obviously we don't want to fall in that trap. And it's I think for me that's the most difficult part of parenting, is not becoming my parents. It's all about me. It's not about my son. I am the problem here. I have to fight with myself, and I didn't know this until recently. I didn't really understand this is what parenting is all about. It's not the children. The children are fine as they are. They're perfect. I think it's we are the problem here.
No, it's really true. In fact, a lot of the first module is about how it has to start with us. And the positive of that is that as Andrea has said to me, then we can be the hero. If it starts with us and we learn how to change and manage our expectations and do things differently and build a different parenting muscle, then we feel really, we feel great about ourselves because we've been the one that's sort of initiated that change. And I would also say that I don't know, Gitti, if you found this, that your kids have just such different different temperaments? Because Gitty has 3.
Yeah, they're completely different.
And
The
do you find
the first one I had to send to nursery ASAP because the whole house was being turned upside down every day. He was climbing on the counters, pulling out the plugs, throwing things out, any salt, flour, anything, cereal all over the floor, books all over the floor, everything, electronics, wires, plugs, and the next one just sits in colors. The first one didn't take a pen out until this year. In nursery they taught him how to color, you know. The second one likes to color and just sits and reads and colors, plays with Lego, and could just sit with him all day quietly.
Amazing, isn't that funny? Yeah. My first 2 were the opposite. So Nico, having been a hitter, and we managed to sort of work on that, he was then he liked to color, he liked to sit, and Felix was like this tornado that and that, you know, he's the one I mentioned in the webinar. I mean, I honestly think that he was sent to me to test every single parenting challenge that you could possibly face, because he was just, you know, but I just kept having to work on myself. And I did see, you know, at one point I went with him to a child psychotherapist because I felt like I just needed extra tools. And she did help me to see where, you know, because we all have our blind spots, that I was a part of the problem. You know, she said, didn't put it that starkly, but I said it pretty swiftly myself. I could suddenly see as she was asking me that I thought, and I think I said this in the web, but, you know, I thought that I was getting irritable and angry because he was being so difficult. But actually, it was starting with me, that I was overreactive. You know, we talked about our own temperaments. I have quite a reactive temperament. So I would overreact to something kind of in anticipation of what he might be going to do. That would then trigger him, and, you know, he would doubly react to that, and round it would go. But it took a long time, and but, you know, it's incredible to see him now, age 20, so different. And so I think I do really believe so different to how he would have turned out had I not had these skills. But I guess the thing is, but I didn't see it at first. You know, he was this little bouncy, you know, kind of a tornado, but you know, cute and bouncy with it. And then it just, yeah, he just became, you know, very, very challenging. Luckily, it was school environment, was always at home. So, you know, a bit at school, but not much. Yeah, so it's of bringing up healthy kids and emotionally balanced, and, you know, getting it right. Are you saying my internet's unstable? Are you hearing me okay?
You froze
Good.
for a second,
Okay.
but you're back.
Okay. Yeah, I could literally kill internet. Yes.
I have something that I've been thinking about. So I told you, Camila, that, you know, I listened to the first, I don't know, I listened for like 15 minutes the first night. And the next morning I leaned in really hard on the compassion. And then that worked really well at breakfast time when things were going like they often do, just so slow. And then, you know, my son got more and more upset. So the whole compassion thing really worked. But I also, in the week since, have realized that I can have a great compassionate mindset, but sometimes I still don't know what to do. That, like, I still haven't figured out the words that I'm supposed to be saying. So when you gave that example earlier about the nappy and like praising your child for putting the nappy in the basket, it was like, oh, that's how you do it. Because, you know, I've kind of gleaned that this positive reinforcement and all that. I don't quite know how to do it. And I haven't gotten that far in the course.
Yes.
So I do see that compassion, I mean, that's a critical component. You have to want to be compassionate, but you also have to know the way to do it.
Yes.
That, you know, like,
yeah.
So, yeah, that's neat to kind of realize how much more there is to put into it.
There is, yeah, and you'll go over it I mean, that's what the feedback has been from the group from last year, was that they just keep going over it. And you know, they'll probably come back to it in 6 months' time when they go through another stage, because you're always learning. But yes, so there, you know, that there's a lot of extra tools and parts to slot in. In fact, I just tonight uploaded a couple more example role plays that one of them I had was already there, but I realized I hadn't ticked publish, so it wasn't showing on the platform. And another is a couple of stories that I tell about when the situations that I had when the children were little. But that just, it's learning that very specific language that both encourages cooperation and also will help you in a positive way stay firm. So, you know, just a little key tip is to put it back and ask the question. So if they are saying no, or, you know, rather than kind of getting into yes, no. So give me an example, Becky, of when he might say no. Or Christina, actually, give me an example of when your little boy might say no to something.
Just trying to think of something. Also, something that happened tonight. Yeah, he didn't want to come and eat, basically. He just wanted to play.
Yes.
He kept saying no to whatever we were offering. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So that's a really, I mean, like, such a common example for, and even if you've got a really good eater, it'll be something else. You know, it'll be maybe that you've asked him to tidy up, or you know,
or another one. We have another one that keeps coming up, like he doesn't want to come inside. We would come from the park where we'd already spent a lot of time, and he obviously he just wants to hang out outside in the garden to play more. It's one of those things. That's another example.
Yes, that's a great one. So I mean, a couple of things from the program. There's a great tool called the GREAT system. So a couple of things that I talk about, and this ties in, Andrea, to the sort of holding firm, is that you want to set it up when you know that there are things that they're likely to be resistant to. So it could be the bike seat, it could be the you know, coming home from the park, or coming to the table when it's supper time and they don't want to. You need to sort of set it up a bit beforehand so that they are very clear about the what's expected. So that you know, before you even go into the park, you say, look, we're going to stay here for an hour. How long? And this is what I was going to come to, ask the question back. Now, obviously they don't understand an hour, but it's getting them to say back to you what you've already said. So it'll already lodge in their mind as something that they know is that, you know, it's that expectation that there's a limited amount of time that they're going to be there. And then you might say, so when it's time to go, I'm going to give you a 5-minute warning, and I'll come over and I'll tell you, so what did I say is going to happen when it's time to go? And then you get them to say it back to you. And then you might even say, and you probably won't want to, because that's the putting into words how they're feeling. You probably won't feel like it. You don't like getting in the bath. You don't like leaving the park. You don't like finishing your game when it's time to finish. And then you ask again, and you try not to say but, and what it's going to have to happen when it's time to leave the park, or when it's time to get in the bike. And then you found that you've actually set it up so much better that it tends to be easier when the time comes. So those are sort of skills. But it's a real combination. And then, so say you go up to them in the playground and you say it's time to go, and they say no, which is really common, because, you know, a lot of what is within the program is the normality of kids. because you're all with first kids. Gitty, obviously you've got 3, but it's like, what's normal? And especially, as Gitty's seen, you've got one who's the bouncing around and the others who's sitting. They're all normal. They're all within the range of normal behavior, but sometimes we've never seen it before. So it's totally normal to expect them to sort of say no, even though you've gone through it all. And at that point, you might say something like, yeah, I know, it's really boring to leave the park, isn't it? But you looked at me and you stopped. So I know that you're listening to me. And I'm just going to hold your hand and let's count to 5 and march over to where the buggy, the stroller is, and we'll see whether we can see an airplane in the sky. Something like that. So it's hard, and it's a bit like a magician, this sort of sleight of hand. But it's that combination of setting things up ahead, expecting them not to want to do it because they're kids and they don't, they're in the moment and they like being in the park, and knowing how to catch that good, really, if it, no matter how minuscule it is, and then moving towards them doing the right thing. But it does take practice, and very often we're like, they say no, we're like, now what do I say? And that's kind of when we'll go yes, and they go no, and we go yes, and then we just, that's use. It's just getting you nowhere. So sometimes another tool might be to sort of go, do you know what, I'm just going to stop right now. I'm going to walk away and breathe, because otherwise I'm going to get myself into a right old lather, and come back to it. So does that sort of also play in, Andrea, to that kind of combo of being firm and being empathetic?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I thought I was muted. Yeah, it does. I mean, just hearing the process, because I'll do little bits and pieces of those things. Sometimes I'm not consistent, but sometimes I'll be like, oh yeah, I need to let him know that we're gonna leave.
Yes.
And so sometimes I'll do it, but then I haven't put enough pieces together to make it work. So yeah, just hearing those little, just those tiny little tips, I feel like that'll be so useful.
Great. Oh, I'm so excited. Aline, is it something that you think you might be considering jumping in with?
Which?
The program.
I don't know, to be honest. I'm just kind of exploring or information gathering or whatever at the moment. But it would certainly, the philosophy, your way of thinking totally marries with mine. So yes, if I felt there was a need, absolutely. But I may not be there right now. Some of what you're saying, I'm like, okay, I actually do need to continue going with my gut, because I do prepare them and say it in advance, and it totally does work.
Yes.
It's just the occasional time where you're like, okay, we're just doing this, whether they like it or not. But most of the time, we're able to, help her understand that, okay, this is what we talked about, and this is what we're going to do. And like you say, distracting with the, come on, we're going to march over here and for an airplane. Like, the distraction is amazing, because she totally forgets the upset, so yeah, no, I totally get all of that.
Brilliant. And Christina, what about you? Is it something that you'd be, the doors close tomorrow, just so you know. So it's this is why I came on tonight, just to answer questions and share a bit more. Christina, is it something that you would be interested in joining?
I haven't actually thought about this, and we'll have to give this some thought. I think this is really, really great information, and this has been really helpful for me to understand what's this all about. And I think it makes sense. Everything that's been said kind of resonates with our way of thinking, and kind of how things should be, and sometimes they're not. But yeah, definitely useful. Yeah, I need to kind of figure out what our main issues are and ways of trying to tackle them. And it's great. I found out about your website and your program. Definitely need to check this out because I haven't.
Of course.
I've just joined tonight trying to find out more about this.
Find out
so this
more.
is
Yeah,
really helpful for me. And yeah, thank you so much
Great.
for doing it
Pleasure.
tonight.
Pleasure. Well, it's no problem. You've got the link, and if you've had the emails, have you had the emails from me? Are you on my mailing list, Christina?
Yes, I am. I just checked now that I just yep, I am now. Yep.
Okay, cool. So did you did you get the link?
I confirmed.
Did you get the link to see what is included in the program?
I'm not sure. I think it's in one of the emails, and I need to check.
Oh yeah,
because there's been quite a few.
If you've had emails from me, then it's in the
It'd
link.
be one of those, right? Okay, yeah, definitely gonna check those out. Yeah, I see a few of them have come into my inbox since the 18th when I subscribed. Yep. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay. Okay, brilliant.
Thank you.
Well, have a look. It's Christina Verlies. So, and like I say, the doors close tomorrow at 6 p.m. This will be the last program I'll do for. I'm not sure actually when I'll do the next one. Probably sometime towards the summer. But it's so what happens is you have 4 Zoom sessions like this. The group will be bigger, but they are on Tuesday evenings during March. And so I recommend that obviously it's if you join now, you might be able to have a look tomorrow perhaps at module 1. And the program is in 4 modules. You just access it. Andrea, have you just done like 10 minutes at a time, that kind of thing?
Yeah, what I have been doing is trying to put it on my earbuds or like my Bluetooth speaker while I'm getting ready for bed, or like as I was making breakfast this morning, because I find that I don't have to look at the screen very much. I'll kind of so I just listen, and it's it's been a really nice way to just kind of keep this top of mind.
So yeah, you can just put it on, listen in 5-10 minute chunks. The nice thing about the platform is it comes back to where you left off. So you then just resume, and you do it at the pace that works for you. And I'm often adding extra things. So I think I said at the beginning, I've added some extra reflections and role play demonstrations, and it's got some printable stuff. It's just sort of, it's all there. I mean, there's tons, but you just do it at your own time. But the group sessions like this are every Tuesday for the next 4 weeks at 8 p.m. So different time zone for you guys. But it's just a chance for us to come together. I'll share some more reflection stuff that isn't necessarily in the program, answer questions. And for everybody just to feel like inspired and like you were saying, Becky, it's a lonely business sometimes, especially if you're not around parents who are like-minded, and it's nice to have that, even if it is what you're doing. First of all, like you guys were saying, it sort of brings all the pieces together, and it reinforces to you that you're on the, I call it the right track. It's certainly what, my experience of really that kind of really connected, centered parenting that with compassion, but raising, I can say honestly, my 4 who are 16 and upwards, I knew what kind of kids I wanted them to be. And what's really lovely is it really is paying off. They are compassionate, and they're go-getting, and very polite to us. I mean, they can be a bit, you know, pissy with us, is the expression that I would use, you know? But they're respectful and they're thankful, and they're very, very sort of grateful for what they have. And, you know, they just do not have that, what's that term for kids that have kind of got a, there's a term that is used. It's kind of an arrogant expectation of what the world gives them. There's a term. Entitlement, exactly. They don't have a sense of entitlement. They know that they're very lucky, but equally they don't think that they should be given stuff. They expect to. My daughter's phone, the 16-year-old's phone, is so crappy. She can't actually make a phone call on it. She can only use it for, but she has no sense of entitlement that I'm going to get her a new one. So she's just going to earn some more pocket money and stick with it, you know. So that's what I wanted. But I honestly, I started, you know, especially with my girls from birth, you know, it's just drip, drip, this stuff. And it does so pay off. And it's exciting, it's lovely. And, you know, like I said at the beginning, when I started with parenting, that's what I hoped for, but you don't know, you know, you think, God, are they going to turn into a drug addict or a, you know, delinquent? Or with my eldest, I thought he was going to be in jail because he was always hitting other kids, you know. I thought he'd be in like a remand center because he was always hitting. But, you know, that was pretty swiftly stopped, but not by, you know, not by putting our foot on him. It was just by seeing where it was coming from. So listen, guys, ladies, it's been lovely to have you join me tonight, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And Elena and Christina, we're meeting again on Tuesday night. If you'd like to join the program, it includes those 4 sessions, and it would be great fun to have you on board.
Is that Tuesday night?
Our time. So that's Wednesday morning.
Okay, so it's my Wednesday, so I can make it. Yay!
Oh, brilliant. Okay.
I thought I could make it, but I can. So I was like feeling really gutted that I was going to miss that one, but I'm pretty sure. Yes. Okay.
Brilliant. Fantastic. So it's 9 a.m. for you. Yeah, I don't know about Andrea. Will that work with your schedule? Great. Okay. Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, Vicky, I'm looking forward to talking again.
Great. And Gitty, we'll talk. But thank you so much for you guys, you know, spending the time with me tonight. And I hope to meet you. Well, I certainly know that I'll see you too, but it would be lovely to see you on Tuesday night to kick off.
Yeah.
You get direct access. The minute you join, you get access to the online program. Sorry, Aline, what were you going to say?
No, I was just saying thank you. That's all.
Pleasure. Okay, Christina, thank you.
Thank you as well. Thank you. Have a good night. Thanks.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.
See ya.